What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and welcome to week 4 of the Premier League. So, finally back from the international break, and thank goodness, because frankly, I'm tired of seeing the US lose. But anyway, that's just me. But yeah, we're back into the Premier League for week 4. A lot of good games happened this week, a lot of interesting results as well, so let's take a look. First game to kick it all off is, of course, the big one to talk about, which is Man City Liverpool. Man City winning 5-0. Going into this game, everybody knew there was going to be a lot of goals. I mean, both teams very focused on attack. Neither one really focused on defense. I mean, Liverpool didn't buy defenders, and Pep thinks defending is pretty much a hobby at this point, not really something you need to do. So, really expecting a lot of goals, but to see it so one-sided is really kind of shocking. I expected Liverpool to get something out of this game. Obviously, the Mane red card has a big, big play into this. I will say my personal opinion, I do think it's a red card, but the fact that every straight red now sees 3 games match bans, I don't agree with that. I think this one, yes, it was a dangerous play, but it wasn't violent. It wasn't it wasn't like he intended to do it. I think straight reds should only see a 3-match ban if it's violent or intentional. This was just he's going up to win the ball. You can understand what he's trying to do. I think it's only worthy of a 1-match ban, if that. So yeah, I don't know. I do feel bad for him, but at the same time, I do understand why he got a red to begin with. But obviously, that did change the game. Mane, it's showing how important he and Coutinho are again, because as soon as he's off the field, Liverpool just can't. They can't do anything. Even though Man City's back line isn't that strong, and they still did create a couple chances later on, Salah and Firmino just don't have enough. And then Oxlade-Chamberlain comes on later in the second half to sort of see if he can provide anything. But at that point, it was just too far gone. Man City were running rampant up top, and Liverpool just couldn't get back into it. So, I don't know. This is kind of like a little mini review of it, but it's sort of taking into account every little part of it, because on the one hand, this is a great result for Man City, but at the same time, you got to look and say, well, without Mane, Liverpool really aren't as threatening up top, so I don't know, it's just not as impressive a result, I think, as it looks. And they have to be wary of not letting what happened to Liverpool, after they won against Arsenal 4-0. Oh, we're top of the world, we're going to win the league, and they get beat 5-0. They can't let that happen to them if they want to continue to challenge for the title. So I do say it's a great result for Man City, but I don't think this confirms that they are going to be title contenders. I just think this is them going up against a weaker top 6 side, weaker defensively at least, and the red card had a lot to do with it. So not really ruling Liverpool out of the top 4, but not really saying this proves Man City are the title contenders this year. So yeah, take from that what you will, I guess. Then we had 5 games going on at 10 o'clock Eastern time. First one, talk about Southampton-Watford. Watford getting another good result. Once again, showing up everybody that said they were going to be in the relegation battle this year. Southampton, another pretty poor result, 2 in a row. First drawing against Huddersfield, now a loss at home against Watford. Kind of shows that maybe Claude Puel does have a point of why he left. Maybe there are some things going on at the club that we don't really see in the public. Maybe some things going on in the background. But yeah, I mean, these are 2 poor results in a row for Southampton. Obviously, still looking okay. Still not looking like, oh no, we have to worry now. But if this does continue, they may start to get a little bit worried that they'll start to drop into that relegation battle. Next one, Leicester-Chelsea. I already talked about it, obviously, as a Chelsea fan. But another great result for Chelsea. Puts them back up into the title contention, I think. A lot of people after the first game were saying, oh, this is it. That's it. They're done. They're nowhere. No chance of them getting back into it. But 3 good results on the bounce back from that defeat, and it kind of pushes all those doubters aside. It says, hey, we still have a chance this year. We still are here to contend and here to put forward our best efforts. So it's just a way for them to shut up all the people who wanted to be a hater, wanted to bash the champions. So a good result for them. For Leicester, not the best performance from them, I think. Could have been a lot better, definitely. But at the same time, you got to look at it and say, well, it is Chelsea. They are one of the better teams in the league. So they did as much as they could, but at the same time, I think looking at the performances of a couple of their key players like Mahrez and like Vardy, Vardy did have a few good moments throughout the match, but Mahrez just not really producing like I think he wants himself to. You know, he wanted to be up there trying to be sold to some of the top clubs in Europe. And I think his performances recently have dropped off a little bit to the point where I don't know if he's going to be looked at by these top clubs anymore. So I think he'll probably be a little bit disappointed in himself. Vardy, though, is still trying to do as much as he can. He did win the penalty to get them the only goal. So they did have a decent performance, but I think they could have done themselves more justice because it felt like Chelsea just sort of ran riot throughout the match. They just couldn't finish most of their chances. Next up, Everton Spurs. Spurs once again showing that they are a good team. However, this is two matches in a row that Everton really just didn't put up much of a fight. You know, against Chelsea, 2-0 loss, and just didn't seem like they were involved in the match at all. This one at home against Spurs, didn't feel like they were in the match ever. You know, there were a few chances they created early on, but I mean, Sandro's really not doing much. Rooney, Sigurdsson, two players that you thought would be really running riot and trying to score goals, but just not really producing much up top. So I think it's less of a, oh yeah, Spurs are really good, more of a, this is the second time in a row that Everton has just not been involved in a game. And for a team that were really pushing to, you know, easily make Euros, possibly push into a top four with some of the purchases they made, this is another result that just kind of pushes those goals aside and just says, okay, we're still not there yet. You know, we need to improve our team more if we want to push into the top four. But for Spurs, you know, their away record has been pretty good. They just need to work on their home record at this point. You know, they've got to make Wembley feel more like home because that's where they're going to be playing half of their matches this year. Next result, probably the most shocking result of the entire weekend. Brighton 3, West Brom 1. Brighton scores their first goals of the season and turns out to be 3 against West Brom and gets the win out of it. So big result for them. You know, they looked like they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They couldn't score. They tied one game, but just could not get a goal to save their lives. Now they finally got 3. West Brom, though, I don't know if this is a hiccup. I don't know if this is a sign of things to come. But typically they tend to do well throughout most of the season, and then they have just a couple matches that sort of throw them out of any contention of doing really well in a season. You know, they'll start off the season really well, win 3 games, win 4 games out of 5, something like that, and then they're just right up there. They're doing well. They're top half of the table easily, challenging even for a Europa League spot, but then as soon as they hit that mark where it's like, okay, we're safe now, that's when they start to drop off. So I don't know if this is an early season drop off or if this is just a bump in the road, but I do think this is a better result for Brighton than it is a poor result for West Brom. Arsenal Bournemouth 3-0 Arsenal. Obviously a much needed result for Arsene Wenger because a lot of the Wenger out parade were just itching for this one to be a draw or a loss at home against Bournemouth. I don't see this as much a good result for Arsenal as I do see it as a really poor result for Bournemouth because another performance where they just didn't do a thing. You know, I mean, they have such a good striking force and they can't score goals to save their lives. I mean, yeah, they have a couple, but that's it. You know, they can't win a game. This is 4 losses in a row. Arsenal looking pretty poor after the first 3 games. This is a chance for them to step up and say, all right, we need to get better. This is our chance to improve. And then once again, they get smashed, and they're not even a part of the game, really. It was mainly just Arsenal just running over them. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, Arsenal, pretty much anything but a win would have been terrible for them. So a win is pretty much what you'd expect. But Bournemouth, though, to not score a goal, to not be involved in the match, it's kind of worrying for them that they're not getting any better. You know, they're still giving up goals. They're still hardly scoring. They're not creating many chances. I mean, it's getting concerning for them, especially because they did pick up some really good buys over the summer that just aren't producing. You know, Ake not really helping the defense so far. Defoe not scoring them any goals. So, yeah, definitely looking for them to improve. But if things don't, they might start to get a little bit worried that just maybe it's not going to be the year. You know, maybe this is going to be the year where we finally drop. Next two games final game on Saturday. My bad. Uh, if you're not a Man U fan, a great result. But if you are a Man U fan, kind of frustrating because you know that now all of the haters that have been bashing Man U since day one, even though they've been playing really well, you know they're about to start piping up. Stoke 2, Man U 2. Obviously, Stoke is a very difficult place to play, but one of the things that happened before the match, Mark Hughes said that there were some weaknesses that he saw in Man U's team that he was looking to exploit. And obviously, Mourinho was like, well, I want him to tell me what they are so I can fix them if there are any. And honestly, they did exploit them. And one of the things that I've been saying to a lot of the Man U fans, on Facebook and stuff, and obviously most of them just been saying F you, you don't know anything. But one of the things that I've really noticed about Man U is that while they improved a lot, Matic coming into the midfield helps them defensively and frees up Pogba to be a little bit more creative. And getting Lukaku up top provides a goal scorer who also is pretty mobile whenever it comes to counterattack. Those two are very good buys, but defensively they did not improve. Bailly and Jones and Smalling, in my opinion, all good, decent defenders, but not great. They all have holes in their game. Bailly, while very fast and physical, he's pretty naive, in the Stoke game, just constantly keeping people onside because he stepped farther back than everybody else. Jones just sometimes loses track of his man. He seems a little bit unfocused at times. Smalling can be very reckless whenever he goes into a challenge. And then you look at the fullbacks. You've got Valencia, you've got Blend, you've got Shaw, you've got Darmian. None of them really stand out as like, oh yes, they are quality defenders. They all just like, yeah, they're pretty good, but nobody's really special. And so Stoke exploited that. They got the ball in behind Matic, who's normally been doing the defending for Man U so far. And that's where the trouble began. The defense just isn't that good. De Gea managed to make a couple really good saves to keep him in the game like he normally does. But once you get in behind Matic, once you get at the defense, that's where the weaknesses start to show. And Stoke managed to get 2 goals because of it. So, yeah, I found it very interesting that of all the teams, Stoke managed to be the one to show the weaknesses in Man U's so far superb performances. That being said, obviously the 2 goals that Man U got show that they still have enough quality up top to keep them in games, to keep them, even whenever their defense isn't the best, even when they're not on their game. It shows that they still have enough quality to stay in games because Lukaku is able to score. Rashford, Pogba, Mkhitaryan, even some of the subs coming off the bench, and Mata, and who's the other one? Martial. All these attacking options that you've got, all of them are very creative. They're creating a ton of chances. It's just, hopefully they can finish more than the defense manages to concede. But so far, while it is a poor result, I still say the performance is enough to say, yeah, they're still looking like the best team in the league so far. But I'll be interested to see how that works now with some Champions League games coming in, a lot more tired legs. Now that is Lukaku going to be playing in the Champions League, or are you going to use Zlatan, or are you going to stick with Rashford? What's the plan now? I'll be very interested to see how Mourinho plans to handle that. Next 2 games were on Sunday. First one was Burnley versus Palace. Another loss for Palace, another goalless loss for Palace, and Frank de Boer is now out of a job. From what I hear, because I didn't really get to see this game, but from what I hear, it sounded like Burnley got an early goal, pinched one early, and then just Palace tried everything they could to try to get a goal back. To the point where, the people that I were talking to about the game said that if the manager did lose his job, it would be pretty unfair, because based on the performance, it seems like they're still trying. They're not terrible, they just couldn't finish. Benteke couldn't finish. So, yeah, the fact that he's lost his job may be a bit unfair to him. It's only 4 games in. There's still a chance for them to turn it around. But yeah, that's another loss, another goalless loss. It is kind of worrying for Palace fans that this could be the year that they go down. And like I said, summer transfer window really didn't help them at all. They're still looking like the worst team in the league so far. But another great result for Burnley. They're flying high so far. Managed to get a win at Chelsea, managed to draw at Tottenham, and now, so far, I can't remember if they won the other game besides this one in those 2. But yeah, they started off the season very well, playing pretty well. Sean Deitch still got his team rolling pretty smoothly, so they're probably pretty excited to say, hey, we're looking like easily a mid-table side so far this season. Next one, Swansea Newcastle. It's at Swansea, and then they get the loss 1-0 against Newcastle. For them, not a great result, especially because Renato Sanchez got his first start for the season. You expect a player of his quality to come in and just turn the team around. They already started off fairly well, but for him to come in, you got to say, all right, now we got to start winning games like this, against Newcastle, especially at home. This should be a game that we easily win. We just move on and we keep getting better from here. But from what I hear, Sanchez just not really involved, not really performing very well in his first game. Maybe it'll take some time for him to get accustomed to the league and to the team. But yeah, a home loss against Newcastle is not at all what Swansea were looking for. So I don't know if this is just a fluke. I don't know if it's just going to take some time for these new signings to get integrated into the team. But this is a pretty, I'm not going to say a shocking result, but it's going to be a little bit worrisome for Swansea that they're losing this game. This should be a game that you win easily. As far as Newcastle are concerned, though, I mean, a win on the road against a team that you're probably going to be in the lower half of the table with, it's a good result for them. And they're definitely hoping after the first couple of games, now they've bounced back with 2 wins. It's a good sign for them. Hopefully they can continue to keep growing and keep getting better. Because if they want to stay in the league this year, those first 2 games need to be just put behind them. They just need to be focusing on the future and just continually growing and getting back into the league. The final game today was West Ham and Huddersfield. West Ham with a 2-0 win. Definitely a big result for West Ham, who started off the season very poorly. Getting 2 goals, Andre Ayew comes in and assists the first one, which was a very lucky goal, but then gets on the end of the second one. It's huge for them. I mean, they've started off so poorly. Their new signings haven't really done much. Even today, I mean, Chicharito hits the crossbar. Joe Hart wasn't really involved much. Huddersfield had a few chances here and there, but for the most part, it was mainly just West Ham attack, and they just couldn't finish. And then Ayew comes on, and he's finishing. Carroll was back today. I'm not sure if... I don't know if he played the first 3 games, but the fact that he's back to playing... I know a lot of West Ham fans are definitely going to think, hey, we need to keep him fit. We need to make sure that we keep him in because he has been a lot of the reason why West Ham has struggled over the past few years because his injuries have just kept him out of the team. They didn't really have a striker to replace him. So I'm sure they're hoping for him to be able to continue to play and continue to stay in and continue to help them win. But overall, from what I saw today, pretty good team performance from them. Still a couple players that need to improve or else it's going to be a difficult season for them. As far as Huddersfield are concerned, though, managed to hold on for most of the games. Still look very impressive for being a new side. A lot of fight, a lot of spirit, and that's going to win them a few games that they probably shouldn't win. But just the quality of West Ham today was a little bit better than Huddersfield were, so deserved win for them. Probably pushes them up a little bit as far as the end of the year where they're going to look. But for Huddersfield, I don't really see this damaging anything for them. Going to West Ham is a difficult place to go. So that's about it for this weekend, though. All these games, some of them really shocking, some of them not shocking at all. And then some of them just really helped a couple teams that needed to win. So, yeah, another good weekend. Excited to be back after the international break. What's even better is you got Champions League, Europa League football this week, so you have a Saturday, Sunday, Monday weekend, Tuesday, Wednesday Champions League, Thursday Europa League, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday weekend next weekend. Really looking forward to it. A lot of games to look forward to. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing this type of thing for the Champions League as well. I didn't do it last year because obviously Chelsea were involved, so I wasn't as interested in the Champions League as I normally am. I'll be definitely thinking about it, though, seeing how many games I end up watching, because honestly, except for the big teams in Europe, you don't watch most of these other Champions League games. You're not going to go watch, I don't know, what were some of the other teams? Most of the teams in Man U's group this year, you're probably not going to watch them if they're not playing Man U, because they're just not good teams. So I doubt I'll really look much into this, but I am looking forward to next weekend, seeing how some of these teams do now that the European League has started. Definitely a lot to look forward to, so hopefully you guys are excited. I know I am. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this weekend? Who was the biggest winner? Who was the biggest loser? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Premier League weekend reviews. I'll see you guys next weekend. Peace out.